All right, you loyal listeners. Welcome to another episode of Agency Intelligence, where I give you that real agency intelligence, not that artificial that they try to make you believe out there. This is Cass, and I'm back here this time with Shawn and Steve. And I tell you what, these guys are good. You know the Scratch Agent podcast. If you don't know the Scratch Agency podcast, you need to get to know it. I'll wrap it up in 15 seconds. Shawn, tell us who you are, brother, then Steven.
Yeah, so my name is Shawn Fitzgerald, owner of Sound Harbor Insurance. Been in the insurance industry for 15 years, military veteran, and decided to open up my own agency about 5 years ago. And then on top of all that, have 2 kids. And then on top of all that, tell Steven, let's start a podcast. We should do a podcast. Now's a good time. And that's my quick background.
Steven
Turnbull, owner of T5 Insurance out of Utica, New York, upstate New York. Started T5 in May of 2022. We just hit our 3-year anniversary last week. Been in the space for over just about 9 years. Have a beautiful little girl that we welcomed to the world 2 months ago. And happy to be here. Appreciate you having us on, Cass.
Yeah, no problem. I wanted to get the exposure out. I always like trying to help people get out there who I think are, you guys have seen me say it before, but helping repave the awesome road that we have, right, in this industry. This industry has helped me meet people I never met and helped me go places I never thought I'd go and helped me give my family, the life that I never thought that I'd have. What do you think about that, Steven? You agree with that?
I agree with it completely. I think, I was in my family's agency for 6.5 years before I went off on my own, and I was just siloed. I tell people I feel like I had horse blinders on for the 6.5 years because the agency, and one thing that I found out when going on my own is there's no 2 ways to skin the cat. We talk about that all the time on the Scratch Pod. But I just thought this is the way we ran the agency. It was a 150-year-old agency. This is the way that we always ran it. And when I went on my own, it was like a whole new world because I met people and made relationships that I just needed to make, right? Picking people's brains throughout starting the agency, with Shawn and different people, and learned how different people are growing different agencies and growing niches. And like, these are things that I just had no idea when I was at the family agency they were very generalist. And I tell people all the time, just the people in this industry are incredible. To pick up the phone, pick your brain, whoever it is, whatever stage of the industry they're at with their agency, whatever it is, it's been incredible. So I agree with that tremendously.
Yeah. Shawn, what did you found that to be true?
Yeah, 100%. I feel like, just to touch on what Steven said about this industry being just so helpful, I was blown away, and I've said this on the podcast before, like the biggest mistake I made is the first 8-9 years, I really didn't put myself out there in the insurance space. I kind of just sat behind my desk as a producer, did my thing, learned from the agency owner, and just kept chugging along. But I feel like where the real growth happened is when I kind of broadened my horizons and started meeting other people. Full disclosure, super embarrassing thing, 5 years ago, I didn't even know what a CRM was. And a mentor of mine was like, yeah, you got one? I'm like, yeah, I got AMS 360 set up. He's like, yeah, what about your CRM? I'm like, yeah, AMS 360. He's like, no, your CRM. I'm like, oh boy. So came a long way, but that's, this industry has been a blessing.
Before 2017, 2018, this industry really didn't know a CRM. So you weren't too far behind.
Okay.
You really weren't, brother. You really weren't. So I got to say, we didn't get AZ until 2021. Okay. We knew we needed it a lot before then, but it's not until it became a Vertifor product. We didn't have it before Tolga and those Mo who created it. Great program. One of the best programs, in my opinion. I agree, for sure. Use whoever you want, but one of the best programs to come out in the insurance industry in a while. Hey, here's the thing I want to talk about with you guys. I want to dig deep here. So there's a lot of stuff that's coming out, AI. You see me post, other people posting about how it's changing the world and how it's doing these things and all this stuff like that. I want to flip the script real quick with you guys. Thought of this last night. Everybody's asking me how things are changing. They're going to ask you, right? They see us as the people. But here's one thing no one ever asks me. Jason, what's going to stay the same? Right? No one ever asks you that. We sit around, and I'm being the leader of this, of thinking of what the future is and how it's going to affect us. But what are those things? Because if you think about it, when you're trying to create a business, you can't really create a foundational business on basically what's going to happen because you really don't know. But what you can base a business off is these are the solid things that we know will happen, right? This to me is more consistent revenue. Going after what might happen is more of a gamble revenue, right? That's the best way I could think about it. Shawn, what do you think about that? What do you think are some of those things that will not change over the next 10 years?
I think Steven will like the answer to this one is the importance of relationships, right? AI can help us be more efficient. We can definitely use it as leverage. You're still going to have those relationships. And we talked about it when we opened the call, right? Just broadening your horizons and talking and meeting to other people and seeing how they're running their agency and how little things you can grab from them to make you better. I think the relationship aspect of it is going to be the biggest thing for sure. And Cass, I've seen some of your posts about it. I think those posts you've been doing are great. Like, I think it can replace some jobs, but I do believe it's just going to be the agents who leverage AI the right way are going to be the ones that continue to move forward. That's my take on it.
Okay, Steven?
Yeah, I agree completely. And the first thing that comes to mind is what I've been saying, the last couple months as this has got more and more prominent. It's an enhancement to what we do. And if you look at it, if you want to dig deeper into that relationship game, which Shawn knows I love, like it'll just enhance the way that we can create relationships with people. And we can use the AI tools that we have in our agency to better serve our clients, our networks, our circles of influence, whatever it is, through AI to enhance that. One thing that Shawn and I are working on together now is this AI receptionist, everything that's out there about that. And from my agency, Shawn and I have a very different agency. My agency, we don't get a ton of inbound calls. It's most text, email, online forms, stuff like that. So I'm looking at the AI receptionist for after hours. How can that person that calls at 6 o'clock that thinks we're still open but wants a quote, how can we still serve them at that time instead of, between 9 to 5, whatever it is. And Shawn's using it during the day and all those things. But I think the biggest thing with the whole AI conversation, in my opinion, is like, what is this, like any tech tool that we talk about, what is this going to help me a problem, and how can it enhance the customer experience? And I think if we just continue to view it that way versus replacing, it'll change that mindset, in my opinion.
We still got a cold call. Dang it. I've been trying to figure out ways not to cold call anymore, but unfortunately, I think that's going to stay around for a while unless the AI voice gets real smooth. But it seems like it's far away from that. So still got to pick up the phones, man.
Good perspective. Dude, I'm sorry. I agree with you emphatically. Dude, a lot of great marketing can work and will drive revenue. You can be successful and never pick up the phone. I get it. But the fact is, especially at a scratch agency, if you need business and appointments tomorrow, outside of pulling up in front of people's houses or businesses and knocking on it, the best way is that. And I've always said, you get a little bit better relationship by walking in, but dude, you can make way more phone calls. I think the volume makes up there, right?
Yep. Yeah. No, yeah. I'm with you on that 100%. You're still gonna have to put in the work. That's whether it's utilizing the AI, regardless, you're still gonna have to put in the work.
Steven, you said it well. It does enhance. And I don't think people understand that. I really, truly believe that the efficiencies will become so much that you will redeploy those, the successful ones will redeploy that into productivity. I call that in the new manual that's coming out. I'm going to give you guys a copy. It's actually complete. I'm going to give you guys a copy as soon as this is over. It's called the swing efficiency score. And it's how much you can save in efficiency and swing that over to productivity. Now, here's the good part about that. I think that will only last a good 3 to 5 years, because when Steven starts to swing his efficiency over to productivity, year after year, you can only increase your efficiency so much, which means you can only redeploy so much on your productivity. At that point in time, I do think that we will start to increase our efficiency. And I think that's when you're going to start to see the layoffs. There's no doubt in the world, folks, anybody who's listening as a loyal listener, you guys already know my thoughts, and I want to get your thoughts on this. If we have the Reagan's best practices says it's $125,000 in revenue per employee in an agency. Say it's $1 million agency. Okay. That means there's 8 people in there right now. 7 of them are licensed, maybe 1 VE, maybe 2 VEs. Sounds about right. Right. Mm-hmm. That in 5 years to 10 years will be 1, maybe 2 licensed people, probably 1, maybe 2 VEs and a shitload of bots. If you really look at who left the scenario, it was the licensed people. It wasn't the VEs. It wasn't the owner. It's the license strictly off the fact that that's what most agencies are filled with.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
What say you on that, Stephen? Let me get you on that first.
No, I think, I mean, I think you're absolutely right. You hit it right on the head, but I think that goes back to the productivity you're saying about that swing. Can we do more with less? Can we do the same with less? And if that's, I talk with Cruz all the time about some agency owners he knows that have strong revenue numbers that just have a couple guys because maybe they only have a few carriers, but more importantly, they've gotten their systems boiled down to where they're productive, and this person handles this, that person handles that. And again, like there's no right way, wrong way. But I look at my family legacy agency that I talk about a lot, and they have all staff members are in the office. It's all licensed people that are doing these mortgage changes, all that. And we talked about the VEs and how they work in our agencies to help with the productivity. But I think the technology, the AI, as it continues to get better, is only going to make that better for us as agency owners as we continue to scale our agencies.
I agree. Shawn, what you think?
Yeah, I'm with you on both of it. Truthfully, I have a hard time seeing what it's going to look like, just because how fast AI is moving, it is absolutely mind blowing. Like, even RPAs too. It's crazy. Like we use Adapt API behind the scenes at our agency, and it's pulling policy documents and pulling commission statements and pulling cancel report. The technology is crazy. So in my head, I'm like, is it going to get to a point where the RPA is just going to be able to make the mortgagee change? Like the simple, mundane, repetitive tasks.
Absolutely. So absolutely, I could go down that thing for a while, but I wanna. Man, there was something you just said that I thought was really, really good. The mundane tasks are going away. I mean, I see it I'll tell you this right now. This is what all of the big smart people tell me. There's people that are building towards this. When I say this, give me a minute, this engine. There's people that are still building towards it. There's people that are sitting at the engine level. And this is in our industry. This is in every industry. And what they're waiting for, the next phase of this, is that agentic AI that allows it to control it. That's our problem right now, is that we have these bots that are really good at doing a single task or going out and finding tokens and putting things together. But when it has a problem, that's what's really delaying a lot of things. So here's what I have been told. Once people can get GPUs, the thing that runs OpenAI, the things that's running Gronk, if that can come down to the agency level, there's agents out there right now that are talking about building on LLMs. They're not telling the truth. To build on a true LLM, you need GPU output that very few people have today. So now what are they doing? They're piping in a GPU like an OpenAI, like a Gronk, like one of the Gemini. They're bringing that in, and then they're saying, okay, well, I'm building it on my server. Well, what you did is you created really, really smart bots, and then you're using this OpenAI. But here's the deal. OpenAI can't get descriptive enough inside of our processes. Once that GPU price comes down to where agencies like us can have our own LLMs and run our own bots, now we're doing something. I've been told that technology could be as far as 12 months away, could be as fast as 6. But right now, that's the race, is to get to there. So I would say within the next 5, you will have the top 5 to 7 tasks. You will be able to complete those successfully by the end of the year. Majority of the agents by 2026. We will map out all 22 buckets and have those running either on autonomous or on VE managed bots. Probably, I would say by the end of 2026 for you and I, for our agencies, the early adopters. But 2027 will be a madhouse. Like every agency will be adopting these things because there's going to be you and I walking around talking about these huge efficiencies that we have. What do you guys think? What do you guys think?
I can totally see that being a possibility, just how fast everything's moving now. What's I going to say?
I know our brains are all rolling.
Yeah, it's, I even think, you talk the repetitive tasks, but then you start thinking producer reconciliation and how, at the end of the day, like, you're going to tell me there's not going to be an AI where I can drag and drop a commission statement into and it can just pull all the data. Come on. That's going to be something that's going to be easily automated. And when you start thinking of all of those tasks, even certificates of insurance, like this is all stuff that I do believe, and certificates you might need to have a second set of eyes on, just from an E&O standpoint. But I do think I think it's a lot more than 5, but I just don't know. I'm with you. I don't know how long it'll take, but by 2027, I'm with you on that. I think it's going to be a huge change.
They think of this. This is what I try to do. I try to explain this to agents when I talk to them. And this is the simplest form I can give you. Things you guys have all done things, written a letter of intent maybe to buy an agency. I'm speaking to you guys here, but I'm also speaking to loyal listeners. Think of you wanted to get a producer contract and you had to go to your lawyer, but now you can just whip it up and it's just as good as your lawyer. Think of things like that, okay? Now, think if you had to go to your lawyer, request that. It takes them 3 or 4 days to produce it, come right back, okay? And then you had to spend money for that, all right? Let's even say that it's a document that you're going to sit down and create. Let's say it's a blog and a blog video layout. That would take you an hour to an hour and a half to sit down, write out the blog, make it look nice, write out the layout of the video that you're going to do. Just to do that, let's say that took an hour. You guys all do this. This takes 5 minutes now. Let's say it takes 10 minutes to perfect it. Look at that savings. That's 50 minutes. That's not saying, hey, Steven, if you do that thing that takes you an hour, if you do it this way, you'll save like 5 or 10 minutes. That's what we've said throughout life, right? Now it's, hey, Steven, if you use this, you'll save 50 minutes out of 60.
Yeah.
Think of that. If we could get 30% more efficiency in our day, we'd gain back 8 effing hours. This is the efficiency that people are going to say and go, holy shit. The Reagan best practices that says that 55% of all agencies spend 55% of their revenue on labor. And Shawn and Steven are talking about how they're doing it at 25%. If that's $1 million agency, that's an extra $250,000. I can hire more producers and I can have a better marketing budget to blow my people. It doesn't matter how big you are, right? Anything?
Yeah. Well, one thing just that you started with, I want to go back to is like kind of like for the listener, because I mean, this was me, 6 to 12 months ago. That's like, man, all this AI, where do I start? I tell everybody, even like with other people outside of the industry and the community I talk with, because I use ChatGPT so much. I tell people I'm in there more than my email at this point, right? As we all are. But I always tell people, just leave it open on your computer. Like all those things you just rattled off, like the contracts, all of that. And like we've used it a lot for training, put all of our SOPs in there. Now we have an SOP bot. We have like coverage questions in there and we have a specific folder for that. And the way to figure that out is like leave it open on your computer and throughout the day, like, oh, could I throw this in here? And then you start getting more comfortable with the system. And I guess I'm just talking about ChatGPT to learn kind of how the AI bot works and all that. But then that's when your mind starts snowballing to, well, what if I put this in here? What if I used it for this? What if I did, Google reviews, whatever. And then you wake up, 3 to 6 months later and you're like, holy crap, look how much this has helped me. Cruz and I talk all the time. And same with you, Shawn, of like, I don't even remember life before ChatGPT. Like,
I don't either.
How did we do everything that we do without using it?
Yeah, good point. Yeah, I think if you're an agent now, one thing I would get out of your head is there's like a common phrase that everybody says is like shiny object syndrome. Just throw that out the window. You should be trying and learning and practicing and playing with all the AI tools right now, because that's how you're going to get better.
I agree.
Obviously, there's a fine line there somewhere, but I think it is, if it's going to change the game, even half of what Cass said, it's going to make a huge difference.
Huge.
Yeah. The other point I want to make, Shawn, is what you made yesterday. We recorded a podcast for ours just about how we're using AI for scratch agents and stuff. And one of the great points that Shawn made was like, before you go out and buy these new tools that are coming out, because there's one coming out every hour, check the current tools that you're using to see if they have AI capabilities. And we joked on the podcast we did that, we all get the million Ring Central marketing emails with new features, and just ignore them. But in that one email that you're ignoring, it's probably like, hey, now we have an AI receptionist, or hey, now we, so check the tools that you're currently using before you go out as well, because they're all adapting and all trying to keep up.
They are. Yeah. So, where do you start? What do you do? Right. I'm going to show you guys something. I'm just going to I've never done this actually. I have never shared a screen on Riverside. So please, people, bear with me. I don't know if this is going to work, but I think it's going to. Son of
Looks
a gun,
good.
I think it has. All right. So this is about 95% complete, but I want you, everybody, if you're a loyal listener, you need to go to the YouTube channel and watch this so that you can see. Because what I did is I decided we're not going to look back 3 to 5 years like Reagan does and say, hey, Shawn, here's what they're doing 3 years ago today by giving you that. We're going to say, what does the agency look like in 2030? And let's build towards that. Totally different structure, right? But no one's doing it because no one's explaining it to agents. So for the last 3, 4, 5 months, I have worked on creating a manifesto, a manual that literally lays out to people why we're doing this, why we need to build this. And it's a manual. It's a tactical manual that puts it together in an executive summary, all the new metrics that we have brought forth. Not only do I bring the metrics in, but I also give them in different revenue bands, depending on how you are. Reagan, which keep in mind, I'm not against Reagan. We all need Reagan and we're going to continue. I want to hear everybody hear me say that. But Reagan, one of the things they do is they don't go below 1.25 in revenue. But yet majority of our agencies and our industry are below that. So we break that out even below. And we give you these scores of where you should be based on what, for instance, staff efficiency score, the percentage of agency expenses allocated to staffing, license plus VEs. Now, this seems like stuff you may be like, well, why would we care about that? Those are going to be metrics that we're going to share as agencies to say, well, how many staff do you have versus VEs? And how many VEs are running what bots? Right? There's totally different things that we will think about in the future. I lay out all the different strategic models that you're going to find. I bring out the routing engine. This will be the engine that will be in every agency in some form or fashion. This is the backbone of how the routing agents with bots. We'll have 4 layers of everything that we do. We'll have fully autonomous bots, VE managed bots, virtual employees, and licensed staff. There's all the different frameworks. I literally map out 22 buckets of every thing that could possibly go on in an agency, and I map it over to the recommended handlers. Okay, I'm literally laying this out. You can take this to your designer, you can take this to your web person or your AI person. I give you metrics target by looking at where your revenue is. You guys can look at some of your revenue and you can say, how do I start tracking these metrics? We show you how to design them and build them. We give you case studies. We give you the mistakes to avoid of what we've seen. Then we give you the implementation guide. We say, here's exactly how you should do phase 1. Here's the keys for phase 1. We give you phase 2, structure and scale on building out the routing engine. Then we go to the action checklist, everything that you need to checklist and go through so that you can build this completely out. We actually give you a 30, 60, 90-day implementation strategy. And then we talk about the future state where we talk about, this is really important, the 80-20 task automation. I believe that by 2030, 80% of our tasks will be done with virtual employees, virtual managed bots, and autonomous bots, and 20% will be done by licensed. And most of those will just be sales-oriented tasks. Now, of those 80%, inside of that 80%, 20% will be VE work, and the other 20% or the other 80% will be nothing but bots. So that's where we kind of see this going, and it's in some of this. And so I lay this out and the reasons behind this, and some of the things, this is the big one, the cost of not doing it. The cost of not doing it is very, very big. So I'm going to send you guys this whenever we get off here. I hope everybody could kind of see that, because I've never shared before ever on this. But does that make sense to you about what this manual is that lays out the frameworks and why we have to start thinking, and then maps it out for people?
Yeah. I'm spinning after looking at that, to be honest with you. That's incredible. One thing I'm thinking about that I just thought about this whole conversation that you started with about what's going to remain the same. And my wheels are turning just for my agency and myself of like, what's going to remain the same? What do you want to remain the same for your agency? And then working the technology and the AI backwards into that. You know, I kind of use the example of Shawn and I with a virtual receptionist of where we're at together and how we're looking at it at two different ways. But I love flipping the script and saying like, what will remain the same? What do you want to remain the same for your agency and the way that you help your policyholders, and then backing into the bots, the technology to fill the rest of that void. I think that's incredible.
It's the 100% Bezos method.
Yeah.
He said why everybody else worried about their competitors. I would tell my team over and over, we don't care about our competitors. We care about what does our customer want. You know what our customer wants? They want 2-day shipping. What's our customer want? They want 1-day shipping. How do we get there? And then when we build that, they left all their competitors in the dust. You know what I mean? And everybody else was like, how do we get like Amazon? How do we get it? And it's just totally crazy. Yeah. To be honest with you, the more Bezos has been retired and the more he talks, you really start to see like his genius, because he's never been a real big vocal person up until recently.
Up until he got those muscles.
Yeah. Well, and a new wife and all kinds of stuff. I mean, he lost half his bank account, but you know, when you go from 100 billion to 50 billion, and you know, I mean, it depends on the relationship you had with the wife. I'm not downing it. It's interesting. I mean, it was embarrassing when those guys started tracking his planes to like these Malaysia and shit. And his wife's like, wait a minute, I thought you were in France. I tell you what, technology will get your ass.
Everything's in the cloud.
Think about back in the 70s and 60s and shit. You can get away with anything. Yeah. I mean, anything. I mean, gosh darn it. All right, last thing I want to talk about, I want to get this in your mind because I like talking about stupid shit that agents think and that we just need to just break this up, okay? So I get this. I read this all the time, right? I got to get this here. I just can't believe you guys use that AI because you're putting that information in there. And aren't you worried about how they're using that information? And my theory and my thought is on this is real simple. It's, did you know that OpenAI uses the same servers, Microsoft Azure servers, that it handles the Office 365 suite? That has all of our emails on it with all of the attachments we send. Why is it any different than AMS 360 storage that we train? They say that they protect it and they don't use it for their models. Now, whether that's true or not, how do we not know that Vertafore is not using our customers' information to do it? Why? Because they said they're not. So we trust them on that, right? Why is this AI any different? Is this not silly as shit? Shawn, start me out with this.
Yeah, you're firing me up right now. I just feel like on this topic, every freaking app you have on your phone, guess what? When you download it, you're hitting agree and nobody reads the freaking 20 pages of attorney jargon. So don't waste your energy even thinking about that stuff, honestly. Pay the $20 a month.
No,
what do you think, T5?
I'm in the same boat. Listen, if they don't have it, they'll find a way to get it anyways. I'll tell you what, this is nothing insurance related, but ever since we had our 2-month-old daughter, all our YouTube TV ads are now baby formula, baby this, baby that. And like, how are they getting that information?
Yeah, so people who worry about that stuff have something to hide. You know what I mean?
Dude, I'm with you. There's a lot of justification there, bro. There's a lot of justification on that right there. And you know what I always say about what T5 said over here? By the way, everybody, I like nicknames. That's Steven. That's the name of his agency. But anyways, you know, one of the things that he said here, people don't realize the convenience of what Steven just said. I want to ask all you guys out there, and I know this gets crazy, but guys, I'm just saying this because I say it to my friends. How many guys are watching TV and you see tampon commercials? Mm-hmm. No. When I was younger, I used to see those Maxi Pad commercials all the time. You know what I mean? Yeah, I mean, now I don't see those. Why? Because they know I'm a dude, and they know that is not going to serve me. Right? You need to talk about beer and hamburgers and football and, you know, that kind of shit. That people don't realize how actually better this is making their life already. They're just living in this world that they don't realize, you know?
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's the same guys that say, I don't want people to know where I am and what I'm doing, and they're walking around with a cell phone. I mean, what are you talking about? You're not making any sense. You're not making.
Well, in reality, like we talk about the enhancement of AI and technology in our agencies, like those are the agencies that aren't going to make it, because everybody who's utilizing these tools and utilizing all these things that are benefiting our policyholders are going to take over. I mean, it's just the next step.
It is the next step. Guys, appreciate you being on here. We've went more than about 5-10 minutes. I like to keep them short. I've read somewhere, this was like 3-4 years ago, but it was new, that they said that the average person drives like 22 to 23 minutes to work. So that's why because I used to do long podcasts, and then I started getting my listeners being like, hey, thanks for doing that. Because what they do is they get half and they never go back and listen to the other half. And then, so anyways, once again, thinking about the customer, not your competition, right? That's what we do out there. Because Shawn, give me 30 seconds, then you T5, close it up.
Yeah, I would say a message I think scratch agents need to hear. It's something I've been big on over the last year. Obviously, besides play with AI more, is know your vision. Said it on the last podcast. Know your vision. Know exactly where you want your agency to go. Review it at least 3 times a day. And make sure you're able to include the people riding along with you in that vision. That's what I got.
I love that. There's a lot of truth there.
Yeah, I'll just wrap up quick. But Cass, thank you for having us on. Thank you for the support of the podcast. If anybody hasn't checked us out, Scratch Agency Podcast, it's everywhere. It's on the AI Network now. We're super grateful for that, Cass. Thank you. But quick shameless plug here. We have our first meetup for podcast listeners for Scratch Agents that's coming up in Washington, D.C. on July 31st. It's going to be a one-day mastermind. We're capping it at 20 people. We only have a few left as we're recording this now at the end of May. So go to scratchagencymastermind.com, and it's going to be a super intentional, just round table discussion about, everything we've talked about today and more. But Cass, thank you for all your support and, continuously supporting us in the show. We really appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. It's why I created the network. Back in 2019, I was listening to some people. I won't say them, but it was, one of them I can. It was the Millionaire Insurance Producer. Was one of them. And I listened to his podcast all the time. And then I started calling him one day. I'm like, hey, man, dude, you're doing really well. And he's like, yeah, he wasn't going to quit, but he was discouraged. I'm like, how many? He was getting like 10, 20, 30 downloads a day. And I'm like, dude, I'm getting like 1,200 a day. And I'm like, no, man, people need to be listening to you. So that's when I grabbed his thing. I said, give it to me. Let me put it on my thing. And then boom. And now he's one of our larger podcast listeners on there, right? It was about utilizing it. It's not about me. It's not about AI. It's just about elevating those voices out there. I remember I had a guy came to me. He was a young kid in 2012. And I was flying around doing speaking engagements on how to sell on Facebook. And the young guy said to me, he came up to me with this great idea out in Oregon. And I said to him, why are you telling me this? And he said to me, because you have the microphone. That meant a lot to me. That was right before I started my podcast. I kind of thought, wow, there's a little bit of an obligation that just smacked me right in the face.
Yeah.
Right. And so then that's why I say, I do what I do for you. Tell me your thoughts and tell me your ideas. And I'm going to tell the world what you have to say. That's the whole reason I say that saying, is because of that thing that I wanted to start a long time ago. But anyways, all right. Hey, both of you guys, thank you very much for taking your time to do the Scratch Agents Policy. One of the things that we have heard that is a downside of what I do, and I can't help it, I am who I am, is the fact that younger agencies, scratch agencies that have been around for 2 or 3 years, it's hard for them to relate to some of the stuff that we are talking about. So you guys feel a need for our industry in ways I just can't do it, right? I can't get back down to those thoughts because hell, I'm not even doing half this shit in my own agency, right? I mean, I got other people that do this stuff.
Sure.
So I really appreciate you guys do service well. Thank you very much. Appreciate that.
It. Thanks, guys.
Hey, you loyal listeners, you know this. Come on, man. Look at these studs that I got bringing on here. I mean, Steven, he spells his name different than most Stevens. He's got T5. We don't even know what the hell that means. He's got Shawn over here, Mr. Air Force guy. I mean, these are people that we need. They remind me of myself. They're not rookies in this business. They've been around for a while, But the scratch agency, taking business, taking that entrepreneurship and literally learning it, knowing it's there, keeping the fight going. I know they wake up between 2 and 4 a lot, and you think to yourself, man, this is over. I need to quit. Then you wake up, you get in the shower, and you think, what the hell was I thinking last night? I'm going to be okay. I'm Shawn. I'm T5, right? That's what you've got to think out there as a loyal listener. You know what I do because I do it for you. Tell me your thoughts and tell me your ideas, and I'm going to tell the world what you have to say. This is Pat Cass. He's Steven. That other one's Shawn. We're out.